मैं नेहरू जी का कोट पढ़ता हूं। नेहरू जी कहते हैं, मैंने वंदे मातरम गीत का बैकग्राउंड पढ़ा है। नेहरू जी फिर लिखते हैं, मुझे लगता है कि ये जो बैकग्राउंड है इससे मुस्लिम भड़केंगे।
Open threats in rallies. You use terms like vote bank, infiltrators, goosepetia, those with more children as dog whistles. You impose Hindi on us. You call Bangla a Bangladeshi language. You have unleashed the worst kind of linguistic terrorism on all of us, where people are scared to speak their mother tongue in the streets of Delhi, in the streets of Gurgaon. There is no Shumadhura Bhashaning in today's BJP. To be a minority in India today is to be perpetually suspect, perpetually second class, and perpetually subordinate. But we are delighted. We are delighted not only to be able to get this fabulous opportunity to give you a lesson in history, but also to demonstrate to you that how delving into Vande Mataram will only prove how removed you are from the soul of Bengal, from the psyche of Bengal, and how our Ma will never be hostage to your narrow electoral goals. What homage have you played the land of Vande Mataram? Today you're having a discussion on this. You, this government today, claim to be the guardians, the true upholders of the spirit of Vande Mataram. We've listened to the Prime Minister for an hour. We've listened to the Honorable Defence Minister for an hour tell us about how they are the true upholders of Vande Mataram. So let me, as a true Bengali, as a proud Bengali, speak for 10 koti Bengalis today, who you call Bangladeshis, who you call Rohingyas. You harass us on the streets, in colonies. You throw us out when we are pregnant across the border. Dissect the song stanza by stanza and demonstrate how you are butchering both the spirit and the soul of Vande Mataram far more than any 1937 resolution ever did. Shujalang Shufalang Balayaja Shitalang Shushasamlang Mataram. What do we have here? What have you done on your watch? Shujalang, beautiful abundant water. Over 70% of India's surface water is undrinkable today. India ranks 120 out of 122 countries in the Water Quality Index. 21 major cities, including Delhi and Bangalore, are expected to deplete their groundwater reserves by 2030. And yet, in the face of this data, the government is cutting the Jal Jeevan Mission money to all the states. Bengal itself is owed 3,000 crores in Jal Jeevan Mission money. This is what you are doing for Shujalang. Malayaja Shitalang, the cool, fresh air. This is a joke. The AQI in the national capital today is between 800 and 1,000 routinely. Our children are choking. The elderly are dying. You know what the centre's done? The centre has exempted 78% of thermal power plants from installing key anti-polluting systems. The Environment Ministry has spent less than 1% of its 858 crore pollution fund in 24-25. Fossil fuel-driven pollution claims 1.72 million lives in India, and premature mortality due to outdoor air pollution costs India $339 billion US. That's 9.5% of our GDP. That's what we are doing for Malayaja Shitala. Shoshra Shamalam, the blessed fertility of the soil. What's the government done? The Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare saw a reduction in its budget of 2.5% this year. Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, meant for the poorest of farmers, suffered a cut of 3,600 crores. It is estimated that 37% of India's land is affected by degradation. 2/3 of soil samples collected from India are deficient in nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, and 85% contain too little carbon for functioning soil systems. Shuhashining, Shumodura Bhashining, sweet smile, sweet in speech. You, the ruling party, with your hate speech, routinely call for violence against Muslims and minorities. For calls from genocide in Haridwar to open threats in rallies, you use terms like vote bank, infiltrators, goosepetia, those with more children as dog whistles. You impose Hindi on us. You call Bangla a Bangladeshi language. You have unleashed the worst kind of linguistic terrorism on all of us, where people are scared to speak their mother tongue in the streets of Delhi, in the streets of Gurgaon. There is no Shumadhura Bhashaning in today's BJP. Shukhodang, Borodang, Matarang, give us happiness. Today, an arbitrary, hurried exercise of your design is making the Election Commission force such work pressure that BLOs are committing suicide. And what does the Election Commission say to us? They say, oh, it's in the line of duty. They should be happy doing it. India is ranking 118 out of 147 countries in the 2025 World Happiness Report. To be a minority in India today is to be perpetually suspect, perpetually second class, and perpetually subordinate. Far from feeling happy, minorities are fearing the state instead of feeling protected by it. Tumi vidya, tumi dharmo. Let's talk about Vidya first. Under this government, outlay for education is still at an abysmal 3.8%, far below the 6% envisaged by the NEP and far below other developed nations. Grant in aid for the All India Council of Technical Education has dropped nearly 61% in the last 2 years. The UGC's budget has been slashed by 47%. Let's take one example, Delhi University. The University of Delhi is grappling with a fund gap of 250 crores in this financial year. It needs 544 crores. The UGC has allocated just 313 crores. Tumi vidya? Doesn't seem so. Now we come to Tumi dharmo. When Rishi Aurobindo translated the verses of Vande Mataram into English in Karma Yogi in 1909, he translated dharma as conduct, not religion. Here was the root of the difference between a communalistic and a nationalistic interpretation and the political use of Vande Mataram as a song, as a war cry. It's not a communalistic interpretation. It is a nationalistic interpretation, and Rishi Bonkim's hymn Dharma signifies conduct. And for a ruling party, for a prime minister, it should not just be Dharma, it should be Raj Dharma. I cannot help but remind this House of the late Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee, who in March 2002, when asked what a certain chief minister ought to do, famously said, Raj Dharm ka palan kare. Raj Dharm, Raja ke liye, Shasak ke liye, Praja Praja mein bhed nahi ho sakta, na janam ke aadhar pe, na jati ke aadhar par, na sampraday ke aadhar par. Hand on heart, tell this House, is the government fulfilling its dharma? No. Bahute tumi ma shakti, hridaye tumi ma bhakti. Rishi Bonkim said, faith should be in your heart and strength should be in your arms. This government instead has moved faith into its arms. You have made bahute bhakti with your brute force, with your majority, and you're bulldozing your way into the national secular fabric. And your heart is weak because our enemies are striking again and again. And yet we are letting a president of a third country proudly proclaim over and over again that he blackmailed India into accepting a ceasefire. Omolang otulang, without a stain, without compare. Where has the government brought us today? Let me compare across some major global indices since 2014. The UN's report says inequality reduces India's Human Development Index by 31%, one of the highest losses in the region. The World Press Freedom Index, India fell from 140 in 2014 to 141 today. On the World Economic Forum's Global Gender Gap Index, India went from 114 in 2014 to 131 today. Most important, on the Global Hunger Index, which measures child malnutrition, India used to rank 55 out of 76 in 2014. Today, it ranks 102 out of 123. So we are certainly not without stain. And let me, for once and for all, debunk the ruling party's false claim that a truncated song is always an insult. Jana Gana Mana was originally written as a Brahmo hymn in 1911 and consisted of 5 stanzas. It was called Bharato Bhaggo Vidhata. Remember that the Brahmo Samaj was formed by Raja Ram Mohan Roy, and this is the same Raja Ram Mohan Roy that the Madhya Pradesh Higher Education Minister Inder Singh Parmar called a British agent, a dalal, working for religious conversion. If your party's man is calling Raja Ram Mohan Roy a dalal, I wonder what kind of higher education he can be responsible for. Jana Gana Mana is also a truncated song. Of the 5 stanzas, only the first stanza is sung as a national anthem. The second stanza says, Aho raho tumi aubhana procharito shunito abo udaro bani, Hindu, Bauddha, Sikh, Jain, Paroshik, Musalman, Christiani. This means something relatively simple. Tagore addresses Bharat Bhagya Vidhata, the maker of India's destiny. And here is a verse whose restoration would mean a strong symbol, a strong gesture against divisiveness. But you're not bringing a resolution to bring that in. You're talking about what religious context you can view Vande Mataram in. And this is where you've made the biggest mistake, Mr. Prime Minister. You ignited this entire debate as a distraction to take away from your government's failings, which I have demonstrated using the song's lyrics as a key. But you do not stop there. One of the chief spokespersons of the BJP, a fellow MP here, went one step further and said that this truncation was done at Nehru's behest. He said he had learned this by reading a book by the historian Sachiv Bhattacharya. Mr. Chairperson, sir, there is no such book. There is no historian called Sachiv Bhattacharya who has written a book on the history of Vande Mataram. He does not exist. He does not exist except in the fertile manure that constitutes the MP's imagination. There is a historian who has written a book about Vande Mataram, and his name is Shobboshachi Bhattacharya, not Sachiv Bhattacharya. The BJP dare not refer to this book, because if they do, they would have to admit that this very specific book says that the identity of the man who suggested that Vande Mataram be sung in a shortened version so as not to provoke divisive action is not Nehru. It is not Bose, it is Kavi Guru Rabindranath Tagore. So let's set the record straight. Bhattacharya is clear. First Subhash Bose, then the members of the Congress Working Committee, convening for the Calcutta session of the Congress in 1937, wrote to Tagore, asking him his views on the song. To his reply, Tagore wrote, "The core of Vande Mataram is a hymn to goddess Durga. This is plain, so there can be no debate about it. The novel Anandamath is a work of literature, and so the song is appropriate to it. But Parliament is a place of union for all religious groups, and there the song cannot be appropriate." On October 26, 1937, 3 days prior to the session, Gurudev wrote again to Nehru on this issue. And so he, with a special relation to Vande Mataram, suggested that the first two stanzas should be adopted, and his letter profoundly influenced the resolution.
Please.
Last para, sir. Last para.
Please.
Rishi Bankim was a highly complex mind, and Anandamath was not his final word on communal history. His last novel, Sitaram, imagines a Hindu realm founded by a heroic and idealistic king who defeats his Muslim adversaries. However, he comes to embody and exceed all the evil attributed to Muslim, and all his Hindu associates abandon him. So if you have the guts to get into the issue, target the man who very wisely edited the song. It was neither Nehru nor Bose, it was Rabindranath Tagore. Come. If you have the courage to withstand truth, come. Fight an election in Bengal in 2026 by saying that Tagore was responsible for dividing India. Let us see where that takes you. Tagore is the one who sang Vande Mataram publicly. He anchored it to our conscience of our nation. It was Bengal's clarion call. It is no jumla that the BJP can expropriate before an election. You try it and you will see what its consequences are. 10 crore Bengalis will rise, 20 crore arms to teach you the real meaning of Vande Mataram. Vande Mataram.